Hello and welcome back to Northwest Newsweek Year in Review. Over the course of 9 months, Ontario Northland expanded its operations 3 times in the Northwest. The final of the latest expansion started on Labor Day when several communities along the Highway 11 corridor west of Chappaqua were added to the list of communities that receive inter-community bus service. Adam Riley has more.
Earlier this year, buses began to roll once again along Highway 17 across the Northwest when Minister Greg Rickford announced that Ontario Northland would fill the gap left by Greyhound when it shut down its operations in 2018.
About 6 weeks ago, there's a certain mayor who said to me, well, that's all fine and dandy, but when is it coming out our parts? And I said, well, just give me a little bit more time.
On Tuesday, Rickford made good on that promise as an Ontario Northland bus rolled into Fort Frances. Starting Monday, ONTC will begin servicing Atikokan, Couchiching First Nation, Fort Frances, Devlin, Emo, and Sioux Narrows Nestor Falls. The area has been limited in its transportation options since Caribou Coach ceased operations in 2017, leaving Casper Transportation, which resumed its Fort Frances route in July, as the only provider.
I've been doing a happy dance for the last day and a half.
Fort Frances Mayor June Call says they have been advocating for a regional transportation for some time now, and is not only happy to see the service return, but she was amazed by the quality of the buses themselves, which include both Wi-Fi and wheelchair accessibility.
It reminds you of sitting on an airplane with the air vents, seat belts, comfortable seats, a tray and a place to put your cup, and a bathroom that anybody would be happy to have to use if they needed to.
Couchiching Chief Brian Parole says First Nations are a key part of the region, and being recognized with an actual stop on the route will give members of his community more of an advantage.
A lot of our people don't have vehicles, so this the bus service that used to be here years ago, I mean, people depended on that, and now it's coming back.
Rickford acknowledges that some communities along the west end of Highway 11, including Lake of the Woods Township, Morley, Stanley, and Rainy River, are not on the route, but he believes this could provide opportunities for private operators to expand. He's also excited to see the opportunities this could bring for students in the region.
I know we're still in COVID, but the college and university students that are going to be able to get on a great bus and do their homework or study online while they travel to Thunder Bay and or Winnipeg or to places beyond. This puts us and connects us with the rest of the province and the rest of Northern Ontario. Obviously, this was about time, and I'm just thrilled that it came to fruition.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
September saw a big promotion for a regional opposition MP after newly elected federal Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole selected his shadow cabinet. Kenora MP Eric Malello was tapped to serve as Shadow Minister for Northern Affairs in Fednor. First elected in 2019, Malello defeated incumbent Bob Null to become one of the youngest members of Parliament. During the Conservative leadership race, Malello backed O'Toole, but he says he wasn't expecting a position within the shadow cabinet. He looks forward to the role, adding there won't be much of a change from his usual duties as MP.
A lot of the issues I will be advocating for in the shadow cabinet capacity will be very similar to the concerns that I've been advocating for already and will continue to advocate for our region, especially when we talk about the northern economy. Northern economy in the Kenora riding is very similar to the northern economy across Canada in the resources we have, and a lot of the ecotourism, as it's called, that's been a growing industry, and a lot of the same social issues as well, whether it's food insecurity or just a higher cost of living.
September saw a very close call from Marathon residents after the main rail crossing was damaged. The bent track created the potential for train derailment right in the middle of the town during the morning commute. Adam Riley has the story.
Thank God that individual was there looking at the single maintaining box.
Disaster was narrowly avoided early Tuesday morning in Marathon after the town's rail crossing was damaged by a passing vehicle. The incident occurred shortly before 9 o'clock and is presumed to have been caused by a tractor-trailer unit that ripped up part of the crossing, compromising one of the rails. Constable Peter Burton is with the Marathon OPP and says had a CP employee not noticed the damage, the situation could have gotten a lot worse real quick.
Apparently there was a train that was about approximately 2 to 4 kilometers out when the stop train was put on, so it's a good thing that was done because we could have had a lot bigger mess than we got.
Crews with CP Rail were on scene quickly removing the damaged concrete and metal and assessed the integrity of the rail. As a result of the work, residents and visitors to Marathon had to use an alternate crossing, but were forced to wait as some rail traffic needed to pass. Mayor Rick Dumas says he is relieved that there was no derailment and asked residents to be patient as repairs were carried out and completed by 7:30 that evening.
The marathon is divided by a railway track through the community, so it's very important for the residents over there to have access to this side of town, specifically with our major infrastructure here with the hospital and the fire department and the OPP on the northern side of the town. So the southern side of town is not totally cut off, but cut off somewhat. We have an emergency crossing further down that we can open up and have access, but it's a little bit more arduous on people to go to and from there.
Burton says the investigation is currently ongoing, adding there is a lot of transport traffic in and around the marathon area right now, which adds a degree of difficulty for those conducting the investigation. But he is confident that it will only be a matter of time before they find out exactly what happened.
There's only so many tractor trailers that are coming into town right now. There's some contractors in the area that are doing some deliveries, so they've been contacted and they're checking their fleet. And it may be that the driver just felt that he'd hit bottom. The crossing is a little bit of a bump there, so he may have just felt that his tractor trailer hit bottom and didn't realize the significant damage that was done.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
Meanwhile, September saw some good news for Kenora after a buyer was found for the Kenora Forest Products sawmill, which was shuttered the previous year. The sale had union and government leaders excited with anticipation of the economic and employment opportunities that a new owner could bring to the sawmill. Adam Riley reports.
Everything is positive, but again, you want to see the deal actually finalized in an actual sit down.
Unifor National Representative Stephen Boone is very optimistic following news that a buyer has been found for the Kenora Forest Products sawmill. The facility was shut down last year following a severe downturn in the softwood lumber market. Then later in 2019, the owners, Prendeville Industries, filed for bankruptcy, leaving the future of the mill in doubt and 125 workers at the facility laid off. Earlier this month, the Canadian Press reported that Itasca Capital Limited had acquired the mill for $11.5 million. Kenora Mayor Dan Reynard says the purchase couldn't have come at a better time.
This is huge potential for our community, and we're really looking forward to finding out more details. The sale goes through the first week in October, and hopefully, at that point we'll have an understanding of, what their plan is and when they're going to start operations again.
The mill is expected to undergo a name change to Green First Forest Products, and the new owners believe the mill's production rate of 100 million board feet per year can be doubled following some improvements. Boone says Unifor is just waiting for the deal to become finalized before meeting with the new owners to see what they have in mind for the mill.
My guess is based on the market, they're going to want to start it up yesterday if they can, because the market is so good. But then if they're planning on investing long term, obviously that takes some time to order equipment and make those changes. So we need to have a discussion about what their strategic plan is over the next year or two.
Kenora Rainy River MPP Greg Rickford says he is watching the situation with measured excitement. On one hand, he is happy to see good quality jobs stay in the region, but he is concerned on the amount of wood fiber that would be available for the sawmill. He says when the mill was in operation, there was a 15% shortfall in fiber availability, and believes other players in the market may restrict further access.
All's not peaceful out here in northwestern Ontario. Obviously, Resolute has an iron grip on a lot of the fiber in many of the baskets out in northwestern Ontario, west of Thunder Bay, and very little, if any, forestry activity in northwestern Ontario outside of Thunder Bay.
In spite of that, Rickford is positive of some recent changes to the Sustainable Forest License system, which could benefit Kenora. He also says Resolute is looking at a restart of its Ignace sawmill, which has been shuttered since the spring of 2019, which will further benefit the region. Adam Riley, TBT News.
It was a project years in the making as the final touches were put on one of the two bridges that connect the United States to Canada in the Rainy River District. A tragedy in Minnesota over a decade ago prompted the multi-million-dollar project, and its completion had officials on both sides of the border excited for the future. Adam Riley has more.
A new bridge connecting Baudette, Minnesota to Rainy River, Ontario is now open for the public, or at least the public who are able to travel for essential business. The $39 million bi-national project was instigated by the Minnesota Department of Transportation following the collapse of the I-35 bridge in Minneapolis in 2007, which killed 13 people and injured over 100 others. Construction has been ongoing since 2018, and the bridge's completion, according to Rainy River Mayor Deb Ewald, has the potential to bring more people into her community to travel and explore once COVID restrictions lift.
We're only an hour from the bridge at Fort Francis, and it is actually a really nice area to drive through, and then you see a different part of the United States when you come that way too. So, and the other thing is there won't be a toll. I sort of assume that to help pay for it they would put a toll back on, but it's toll free still. So that's kind of good too.
Ewald notes the new bridge is capable of accommodating vehicles the old bridge couldn't, and is hoping to save part of the old structure for heritage and tourism purposes. Demolition has already begun on the former span, with the deck plating currently being removed.
The plan is to complete the removal of the truss, or what they call the superstructure, this year. And of course, that's always weather permitting in our area. And so once that is complete by next summer, in June, they'll begin the removal of the piers and the underwater work.
Site says the underwater work will be staggered due to differing regulations on fish spawning seasons in the border waters. Thunder Bay Rainy River MP Marcus Pulowski says Canada contributed $13 million to the project, which he says plays a vital role in his riding.
Those places out there are pretty intricately connected with the United States. And I know on Rainy River, I think it's figure skating or something. They have one club between Baudette and Rainy River, and same with hockey. It goes back and forth, and there's a lot of families there on both sides of the borders. So, and then obviously there's a lot of commerce that goes back and forth.
A virtual ribbon cutting is anticipated to be held during the last week of October. Site says hopefully come October 2021, the COVID situation will be under control and an in-person ribbon cutting can be held at the bridge site. Adam Riley, TBT News.
When we come back, an unknown substance in the drinking water forces an evacuation of the Neskantaga First Nation. The remote community of Neskantaga First Nation has been under a boil water advisory since 1995. But in October, a slick sheen was discovered on the surface of the water in its water treatment plant. The community was forced to shut down its water lines and evacuate. Troy Charles reports.
Early Monday morning, workers at the Neskantaga water treatment facility noticed an oily sheen atop the water coming from their reservoir. As a result, the water was completely shut off to the community, and their chief is now tweeting that he has to evacuate the elderly, infants, and the most vulnerable. A water service technician and environmental health officer from Matawa First Nation were on hand to sample the water. That sample will come back to a lab in Thunder Bay where they will try and determine the substance and cause. A plane landed here in Niskandiga with about 8,000 pounds of bottled water on board, which will be delivered out to residents. In the meantime, Chief Chris Muniz is not pleased to hear that the sample of the film on top of the water could take about 10 days to process.
We understand that the samples are going to be sent down south, and it would take about 10 days to get the results back. So in the meantime, we don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what's going to happen. Will the water stay shut down is a question, and which more likely will be. And we may have to consider different solutions.
Evacuation due to water issues is nothing new for Niskandiga. Last fall, the facility's water pump failed, causing hundreds of residents to be temporarily flown to Thunder Bay. Muniz says Band-Aid fixes to the facility have been going on for years, with the most recent work being stalled due to COVID-19.
Well, it would appear to be like a very slight sheen on top of the water. Could be from anywhere right now. We don't really want to speculate.
The Trudeau Liberals have committed to end all boil water advisories on reserves by March 2021. They recently acknowledged it may not reach that target, citing COVID-19 delays. Muniz says the water won't be turned back on until the test results are returned.
Very dehumanizing to us, the way that what we're going through. Water is basic human right. How come we can't have it? Are we expected to live like this for another 25 years?
Troy Charles, TBT News.
Alyssa Turnbull was last seen in the Nipigon area in March, and the search for the 26-year-old continued throughout the rest of the year. In late October, a large search team of several specialty units were at the town's wastewater treatment plant a mere 3 days after a substantial reward was offered. Adam Riley has details.
A large contingent of police vehicles and investigators arrived shortly after 8 o'clock Monday morning and have been searching the grounds and facility of the Nipigon sewage treatment plant, including the settling ponds. Some officers on scene were seen wearing hazmat-type suits, and pumper trucks from GFL were also on site. Police officials have confirmed that they are connected to the search operation. Initially, the OPP couldn't confirm if the search was connected to any tips they had received following last month's offer of a $50,000 reward. However, spokesperson Sergeant Mike Golding later confirmed that the search was pre-scheduled. As well, due to the hazardous nature of the search zone, the OPP have pulled in some specialty units to assist with the search, which could take up to 6 to 7 days.
They're searching the water site itself. We have some specialty teams in here that are participating in this evidence search. So it's the USERT team, which is our urban search and rescue, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive response team. We have our Northwest emergency response team as well as our CIB, the criminal investigation branch. So they're all participating as part of a group effort in searching this facility.
26-year-old Alyssa Turnbull was last seen in the Nipigon area in March, and her family members have said they fear for the worst. OPP have conducted numerous searches in the Nipigon area over the past 6 months without any significant breaks in the case. However, Golding did reveal where the OPP is at as far as the number of tips they've received since offering the reward on October 30th.
You know, we're not in the habit of giving out exact numbers, obviously, but we have had numerous tips, and what we do is we assign those to detectives, and they're followed up. Every single one is followed up.
Nipigon Mayor Richard Harvey is reassuring residents that there is no cause for concern and is urging people to give the OPP the space they need.
We've been given no indication whatsoever that there is any concern about heightened safety in town. So, we just want to encourage people to just allow the OPP to do their investigation and to wait and see what the outcomes are.
Adam Riley, Northwest Newsweek.
Changes to councils continued in November throughout the Northwest, this time in Red Rock. That came following the sudden resignation of longtime Mayor Gary Nelson. Nelson had served on council for 16 years, 12 of them in the mayor's chair, but some ongoing health concerns made him decide to step down, and he feels someone younger is needed to take the town into 2021 and beyond. Among his regrets is not being able to tackle some road infrastructure during his tenure. However, he says he's proud of the projects he was able to accomplish over the last decade and a half.
The completion of watching it being built in the Red Rock Arena and then taken down to the lakefront and put together that marina building down there. I'm very, very proud of that. And all the hard work that my council, our CAO, our past CAO, and myself has put into our new sewer plant down there. I'm very proud of that. There was a lot of money that being spent that wasn't costing the taxpayers, not costing the taxpayers of Red Rock, nothing.
Despite his departure from local politics, Nelson says he plans to stay active in the community. Members of council accepted Nelson's resignation and later nominated Councillor Darkeys Robinson to serve the remainder of the term as mayor. Coming up after the break, a major infrastructure project between Thunder Bay and Nipigon restarts. It's been a long time coming, but MPP Michael Gravel says he's very pleased to see construction finally resuming on a project he spearheaded, the four-laning of the highway between Thunder Bay and Nipigon. In December, it was announced a $71 million contract had been awarded to expand the highway near Dorian. Troy Charles reports.
During his time as Minister of Northern Development, Michael Gravel announced numerous contracts to four-lane Highway 1117 between Thunder Bay and Nipigon. The latest 12-kilometer stretch was completed near Red Rock in 2018, but since the Liberals were ousted by the Ford government, work on the highway project has been at a standstill. In 2019, Federal Minister Patty Hajdu announced that Ottawa was willing to contribute $37 million to help the province twin an 8.6-kilometer section near Dorian. And now, the Ministry of Transportation has confirmed the contract for that section was awarded to Terra North Construction for just under $71 million.
You know, about 2.5 years of me lobbying the government to carry on the project that we began during my time in government. I'm really pleased that the province has made the decision to move forward with that, and it's going to be nice to see it done. The actual sort of completion date is, I think, 2023. It officially began in late November, so the project is underway and funded. So that's good news.
On top of that, a public information session has begun on the four-laning of a 14-kilometer stretch of the highway between Highway 587 and Pearl Lake. The materials are posted online for a 2-week period to provide the public a chance to review the detailed design plan. Construction on that portion is anticipated to begin in 2021. Even though it took time to get the 4-laning back on track, Gravel said he always kept a glass-half-full attitude.
And so I remained optimistic, was lobbying intensively with Minister Rickford, who's responsible for the Northern Highways program, and with Minister Mulrooney, the Minister of Transportation. So while they did their reevaluation of what they wanted to see in the highways programs for the North, including, I know, Mr. Rickford's priority of Kenora to the Manitoba border, we had to remain patient. But the fact is, I always felt it would move forward, and Minister Rickford gave me no signal other than the fact that it would move forward. It was only a question of time, and obviously that time has now come. So I couldn't be more happy.
Troy Charles, TBT News.
More than 18 months after a fatal house fire on the KI First Nation that claimed the lives of 5 people, including 4 children, police announced in December that they had made an arrest.
On December 8th, 2020, the OPP Northwest Regional Crime Unit, the OPP Emergency Response Team, and the KI Police Service, under the direction of the OPP Criminal Investigation Branch, arrested Archie Gilbert McKay, 42 years old, of KI First Nation.
McKay faces 5 counts of first-degree murder. The early morning fire of May 2nd, 2019, killed 47-year-old Geraldine Chapman, who was the spouse of the accused, as well as 12-year-old Angel McKay, 9-year-old Carl Cutfeet, 7-year-old Haley Chapman, and 6-year-old Shira Chapman. All 5 victims died of smoke inhalation. Archie McKay had an appearance in court in Kenora in December and remains in police custody. And that's how 2020 shaped up here in the Northwest. It was at times a very difficult year that forced everyone to adapt to a global pandemic. But with the recent developments of COVID-19 vaccines, 2021 offers both hope and relief. Thanks for joining us, and have a safe, healthy, and happy New Year.